looks like a little miniature pope.
This is the intro song to the podcast King of the What Now. Join us as we go on a journey, going to talk about pirates, battle and adventure. We think we're pretty funny, we hope you will too. Luffy, he's gotta be the king of something. We weren't really listening, sorry about that. Hopefully he'll achieve his dreams, yeah. Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line. Welcome to episode 27 of King of the What Now, a podcast where we discuss One Piece. With you, as always, is your host, Joel, who has to turn the ship around because the treasure we were looking for was back where we started.
And I'm Curtis, his co-host. I was going to join the Straw Hat crew, but instead I got, I'm going to stay back here and watch over the dragons on this island. I made great friends, but, I can't go with you for not plotly relevant reasons.
And I'll never speak of you again. Or sorry, they'll never speak of you again. For some reason, I was thinking of myself on the Straw Hat crew, which is not how that works out. All right, and today, as we sometimes do, we have our third co-host with us, who is no longer a ghost. She's been given her own flesh vessel. That sounds really weird when I say it like that. But anyways, here's Catherine.
I'm Kat, and I straight up killed a guy because he was after my treasure. It's my bones.
Excellent. Okay, so we had a little bit of an internal power struggle here. I don't want to go into too many details, but let's just say there was a fourth person who was going to join the podcast, and they've been swept out to sea because they were after someone's bones. And part of this, the fighting that happened, the power struggle, was that this time Kat was going to do her summary of these 4 episodes. And let me tell you, they were spectacular for certain definitions of the word, so I definitely remember what happened in all 4 of these episodes.
Yes. All right, so these episodes can be summed up really succinctly. They went to a place because they thought it's where the dragon wanted to go. It wasn't where the dragon wanted to go. They had to turn around and go somewhere else. That's where it was the whole time.
Right, not just go somewhere else, but literally back to where they started.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, they literally just turned around. There was some fighting, but there have been better One Piece fights.
Yeah. Eric continues to have the world's smallest visor over his eyes. We managed to see what he looks like without the visor, and as everyone had guessed, he has tiny eyes. That's the only way that headwear would make sense. And, yeah, that's really it.
You have anything to add, Curtis?
On the dragon side, so the little girl, Apis, promised to take the dragon to the dragon's nest. Turns out the dragon's nest is not only a dragon's nest, but also a place where the dragons go when it's time to die. And he was old and ready to die. And she was sad about that. But then eventually she was like, yes, but I guess I did get him where he wanted to go. And we learned a valuable lesson about stuff.
Friendship and not hating pirates, which is interesting because I feel like we've treaded that track somewhere before. I can't put my finger on it.
Well, and the thing that made her change her mind was as she was crying over Grandpa having died, a baby dragon hatched, and she realized this isn't just a place of death, this is also a place of life, and that's why it was so important to him.
Yeah, their island, Warship Island, is a little excluded from other bigger populations, so they haven't gotten the Lion King, so they don't know about the Circle of Life. This is where she learned about it.
Savenya.
We should point out the Dragon's Nest was Warship Island. Warship Island is like the top of it. And the rest of it's underwater, except for once every 1,000 years, for reasons unknown, the island rises up from the ocean floor and it reveals all of the dead dragons.
And the Grandpa Dragon's job was to scream when the island was coming up, so the other dragons could come back and have babies and chill.
Do you think that's why he was there, actually? Was so that he could give out a call and say, "It's time, brethren, return."
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's why it was so important for him to get there. Because, A, he had to die there, but also, he had to scream. The other dragons needed to know.
Why didn't they leave a younger dragon with him, too? Why leave the oldest one, who's going to be senile and doesn't remember what's going on?
Just put like a note on his refrigerator, right? Like, Grandpa, if you wake up and you don't know where you are, your job is to scream. It's gonna happen eventually, and you want to stay here. Don't let little girl adventurers take you away to try and find something. It's here.
Stay here, scream when it's time.
Yes. We also, now that this arc is actually officially over, we know that there's
You speculated that maybe there was maybe something interesting that would happen with Luffy being able to understand the dragon. That didn't come back in any meaningful way. It's just filler logic. Something important happened.
I mean, it came back in the context of the arc. I doubt it'll come back in the series as a whole.
Yeah.
But they could, a couple times, he'd be like, oh yeah, I'm listening to the dragons. And then someone would be like, you can understand the dragons? He's like, yeah, why not?
If it did come back, Luffy being able to hear dragons or other animals, what do you think would be the most interesting context for that?
I mean, probably when he's fighting with the Marines or trying to accomplish some objective.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be cool if it was related to the Sea Kings somehow. Like,
oh, yeah.
If you were in the middle of a fight with one and he discovered that he could hear it talking and it just wanted to go back to its babies or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I was standing in line and you cut, and I need to have my 5-pump chai tea latte every morning or I'm a real grump. And you cut in line, you ruffian, you hooligan. The Sea Kings are actually very classy creatures.
Excellent.
But anyways, what I meant was not that the talking to dragons, not really talking to, but understanding dragons wasn't relevant, but why Luffy can hear the dragons wasn't explained, and we're now past the arc, so there's no point where it will be explained. So that's just something to note, something interesting.
I didn't see the first half of this arc, because I only jumped in for these episodes with you guys, but I got the impression that it was Luffy believes in dreams, so he could hear the dragons' dreams and the desires of his heart because he believes in them so strongly.
But he also heard all the other dragons when they came.
They also had dreams. I don't know.
No one else in the universe has dreams except for Luffy and these dragons.
Exactly. We also, that was the summary covered 3.5 of the 4 episodes that we watched. Oh, by the way, we watched episodes 58, 59, 60, and 61, in case we didn't mention that in the last episode of the podcast. But at the very end of 61, we finally get to find out what Reverse Mountain was. Nami had mentioned it previously, but Luffy had gotten his ADD or whatever and run off before she finished explaining. And in this episode, we get to actually see it, and they traverse Reverse Mountain. So, Curtis, why don't you summarize that for me, if you could, please?
Yeah, so Reverse Mountain is a mountain where water goes in reverse.
That's insane. Even though the map isn't labeled with Reverse Mountain, you very cleverly noticed that Nami said, look right here, it's labeled Reverse Mountain, and then it shows the map, and it has 2 things on it, Grand Line and Calm Belt, and no Reverse Mountain is labeled anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe Nami can't read. Sorry.
That would be very unfortunate for a cartographer. They gave some sort of crappy explanation for why 4 canals go uphill and then go back down in one canal. But anime. The explanation they give is that the mountain is a cold mountain, and the water up top is cold, and apparently the water wants to sink at the bottom of the mountain, even though that's not where it's cold, and that causes there to be a big current, and that forces the water up the mountain instead of down like they said it was going to do. And then they go up, and then they come back down on the other one, which apparently doesn't go up the mountain, even though it's under the exact same conditions.
No. So if you were looking at the map, there are the 4 seas, right? North, east, south, west.
Iced, worst,
and edamame.
There we go. Edamame, the secret 4th direction.
But anyway, so there are the 4 seas, right? So there are these 4 canals, one from each sea, that goes up the mountain, and then there is another canal that goes into the Grand Line. So the ones that come up from the different seas, those are reverse, and the one that goes into the Grand Line isn't, because of the force of these 4 from the other side, I guess.
Yeah, but I guess why is that one going down and all the other 4 going up? Because the explanation they give is that the mountain is cold and that forces the water up. But the mountain is still cold regardless of... I mean, I understand the water has to go somewhere.
The water might be cold on the other side.
I It doesn't make
Honestly,
any
I
sense.
think the more we try to dissect it, the harder it is going to be to understand. I think that what Oda was trying to say was that 4 things come together, are forced down this only available path.
Yeah.
Which also, I think I've alluded to this if I haven't outright said it before in previous episodes of the podcast, but once you go to the Grand Line, there isn't really a way to get back, because you can't go back up the Grand Line side of the reverse mountain because that canal is going down with enough force that you're not going to be able to. And then going back down into East or West or North or South Blue, the currents are going against you again so strongly that you're now stuck. I don't know how Zeph managed to get back to East Blue. I assume that they got through the Calm Belt somehow unmolested by the Sea Kings, which seems crazy to me. But there's no turning back on this adventure. Even though Luffy's not the type who would turn around and go back home, there's nothing that will allow him to do that.
You know what I like? I like the idea that Zeph got through the Calm Belt by just cooking delicious food for the Sea Kings.
He had these barbecues once a weekend where they just got together and they discussed things. And little Samantha, she finally got into the college of her dreams. She didn't get into it last year, but she decided to do some extracurriculars, go to some clubs, help out with some non-profit. She beefed up that application.
There you go.
Well, it's not just Zeph. Like, we had Arlong, we've had Mihawk, we've had Shanks. All of them have been to the Grand Line and come back out of it. Well, I guess we don't know for sure on Shanks, but it's my assumption is that he came back.
Shanks and Mihawk are super strong, though. Like, I could see Oda coming up with an explanation for them. I don't know about Arlong.
Yeah. They still have to get through the Calm Belt, which would mean ores, I guess. I guess it's not impossible to get through.
Well, Mihawk didn't have a sail on a ship, did he? Didn't he have like a weird cross and some candles and some weird vampire ritual that carried him through?
Maybe he has psychic powers.
Maybe. I assume that you can trace Mihawk's path through the Calm Belt. It's all of the decapitated Sea Kings behind him. That's how he got from one place to another. But for Arlong specifically, I don't know how strong he is compared to hordes and nests of Sea Kings. Yeah.
I guess I would think that if you have water coming into the Grand Line from the Red Line, from Reverse Mountain, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got 2 calm belts on either side, which means there's no current going through the calm belt. Mm-hmm. That water has to go somewhere. My assumption is there's a gentle current going through the Grand Line, and there must be an exit point on the other end.
Could be. We'll have to watch and find out.
Here's a question.
Okay.
All right, Sanji's looking for the all blue.
Yep.
Reverse Mountain, the 4 seas come together at the top of the mountain and make the current that goes down into the Grand Line. Doesn't that just make the Grand Line the all blue?
I was thinking that.
I don't know. I don't think that the fish can survive going up the current. So he's basically looking for a place where he can do all of his shopping in one convenient location. He's looking for the Amazon of the One Piece universe.
The Walmart of the ocean.
Exactly.
Well, and that we basically had that already at Loketown.
But that was filler, remember? The Sanji episode of Logtown was filler.
Oh.
And so him saying like, oh, this came over from West Blue, I don't know if they have to get signed permission from Oda, like, please, sir, we're going to change your story a little bit. Is this okay? And he goes, yes, that's fine. But
yeah, he wouldn't have signed off on that, because that's like, my goal is to get to the all blue, where all the fish of all the seas are. And then filler episode, look, all the fish of all the seas right here.
I think what was supposed to happen with that was Sanji saw the fish and he's like, this fish is from the West Blue, but we're in the East Blue. There must have been a place where the seas touched, and then it swam here from there.
Yeah, well, I think they give an explanation in that episode that says, oh yeah, that's like right there. You can just go sail there and get all the fish.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
yeah, we need to create a thesis about One Piece, about how One Piece defeats itself by going through all the filler episodes and finding all the weird non-canon stuff that contradicts.
Yeah.
But, alright, Curtis, so I've already alluded to my opinion. Oh, sorry, Curtis and Kat, I'm not used to 2 of you. They outnumber me.
Oh no, I'm surrounded.
But, what did you 2 think of the episodes that we just watched?
That was supposed to be a snore, and it just ended up being...
Gross sounds into the mic.
Or like an angry cat or something. Or like an angry cat that's too old to really bring the full force of its anger. It's kind of phoning in the anger at this point.
Yeah.
hiss, etc.
Yeah, I agree with Curtis. When you had me go through the series the first time, you skipped a lot of the filler. There were a couple of filler episodes that we watched because Oda himself wanted them to be in the manga and didn't get a chance to. But this was one of the arcs we skipped, and going back and watching it now, I don't think it would have added anything to my enjoyment of the series.
Okay, yeah, I completely agree. I will say I don't know how many of the filler arcs are related to Oda saying, I wanted to include this. Usopp versus Daddy Masterson in Logetown was something that Oda wanted to put in the manga, didn't have enough time, so it got an anime adaptation. I don't think that's the case for Warship Island, and I don't think that's the case for most of the other filler arcs that are out there. There are two in particular that I really like. I'm not going to name them because I still have to ask Curtis if he thinks they're filler when we get to them, but I specifically didn't ask you to skip those ones. I happen to enjoy them. This was a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
There were some good character interactions between Usopp, Luffy, and Apis, specifically in how Luffy was kind of the big brother like we discussed in the last episode, and Usopp did all these things where he was like, oh yes, we're gonna go and we're gonna fight the Marines. Of course that's our only option. He was acting all brave. And she goes, wow, really? You're brave? And he goes, no, I'm gonna have Zoro do it. And so there was some good humor between him and Apis. I didn't necessarily like the designs of dragons. I'm very traditional in how I want them to look, and the fact that they're basically birds was a little strange, and I didn't feel much emotional attachment to her and Grandpa Ryu. And so when there was her crying like, no, you can't go, you can't just show a death scene and expect the emotions from other shows or series or arcs where there was a more meaningful death and assume it'll get the same reaction.
That's fair. So I don't remember where you started in the series the first time you ever watched the series. I know at this point you've watched the whole thing a couple of times, but did you see this? You didn't see this.
I've never seen these episodes.
Okay, so having seen these episodes for the first time, do you think if you had a time machine and you went back to when you were watching One Piece for the first time and you watched them, would it have made you stop watching the series, or would it have lowered your opinion of the series at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't have liked it. I would have been like, what is this? I would have had the same reaction to Gaimon as well, and Curtis pointed out that he wasn't really a fan of those Gaimon episodes either. For the record, in case anyone's curious, I got really into One Piece during the Alabasta arc. Not the Alabasta Saga, the specific Alabasta arc, which is actually where we're going to go next after these episodes that we just finished. But yeah, it wasn't good, and it would have lowered my my enjoyment of the series a little bit. At the same time, I recognize that it's not a perfect masterpiece. There are pros and cons. I just would have said, yeah, it ranks lower on my list.
Gotcha.
And, okay, I think that covers that. I don't need to ask you if this episode was filler. I think we covered that pretty well by the fact that it continues the previous filler arc.
So most of the last half of the last episode we watched was not filler.
Mm-hmm.
But they had this weird little blurb where... So, Eric was one of the villains from this filler arc.
Probably, I'd say the main villain. He was more competent than...
Nelson. Commodore Nelson.
I knew it started with a C, but for some reason my brain just went blank, and I was like, is it Colonel? No, I don't think there's colonels in navies.
But yeah, so we got done with the island.
Mm-hmm.
He went flying off, like, pretty far, and then... Here we're going up the mountain now, right? We're going up Reverse Mountain. And it's all exciting, and we're like, yes, we're about to get to the Grand Line. And then randomly, he shows up on the ship, and Nami quickly takes care of him. He's standing on the railing. Nami knocks one of his feet off, and then he falls into the water to drown.
Yep. She leg sweeps him.
Yeah, because he can't swim.
And I want to... Oh, sorry. I just really want to quick throw out there. She knows that he will drown. She explicitly says, and he's a devil fruit user, so he won't be bothering us again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And everyone else is just like, woohoo, Nami, you committed a murder. Thank you. And I mean, I know it was him or us situation, but at the same time, they are a little bit too enthusiastic about that.
Yeah, goodness gracious, guys.
I mean, it's a battle, so yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, it's just like a random 1 or 2 minute piece of filler in the middle of a scene that is not filler.
Yeah, you think you finally escaped filler land, and it gets like one last shot at you, and it grazes you, and you go, that was weird. And then you just keep walking along the normal adventure.
Well, it throws off the pacing a little bit, because it's getting all exciting, we're getting up there, and then I noticed right after he disappears, it just kind of just jumps back into that same feeling that we had immediately before. It's just kind of, it's an odd choice that they made.
Yep. The other thing, too, that's interesting to note about that particular scene with the reverse mountain is they're about to crash into the side of the reverse mountain. Instead of going through the canal, they're basically going to miss it. And Luffy jumps out and he turns into, Gum Gum Balloon, and he gets between the ship and he protects it. They would have died. Like, Luffy is a very determined person, but if he hadn't eaten the Gum Gum fruit, what would he have done in that situation? He would have just killed all of his crewmates, and afterwards he just would have been like, oops.
Is it luck or fate?
If we ever get a soundboard, we need to put that quote on there so that we can just play it at random times. And to throw Curtis off, we'll play it even in places where it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. In this episode, Nami eats an orange. Is it luck or fate?
There you go. That actually brings me to something I wanted to discuss really quick. Did you guys talk about the new opening in the last episode, or was it the episode before that?
It was in the last 2 or 3 episodes. I can't remember specifically.
Okay, so at the beginning of the new opening, Gold Roger gives his destiny, fate, dreams. These unstoppable ideals are held deep in the heart of man. He gives that speech. That speech is very different in the manga, and I have it here. And I wanted to see what you guys think of the difference.
Oh, that's why you grabbed that.
That is why I grabbed that.
For people who can't see what we're doing because this is a pure audio medium, Catherine and I, in fact, own the second color walk in which it shows the original manga version of that monologue.
Yes. So the original monologue is, these things cannot be stopped. An inherited strength of will, one's dreams, the ebb and flow of the ages. As long as people hunger for freedom, these things will exist. So I don't know about you, but I think that's a much more powerful way to do that. I don't know what the difference between destiny and fate is in the anime version. What do you think, Curtis?
No. I mean, they're the same thing. Destiny and fate.
Well, yeah, so what she's saying is that the manga version doesn't use the word destiny and fate. It talks about people's willpower and the changing of the times, which one could argue are part of destiny and fate, kind of. But I think she was saying is that it's better and it more clearly can be analyzed, I guess.
Yeah.
Than the nebulous fate is something.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, because like the manga version gives people agency.
Yes. I will say, I think, in terms of what's the difference between Destiny and Fate in the One Piece universe, I think Destiny is something like your dad was a bad pirate, and so the world already has branded you as a criminal, so you're sort of going to go a certain path. You can't really join the Marines at that point. Seems like, bloodlines are really important. But your destiny is you've decided you're going to become the king of the pirates, so you're going to go do it, and you're not going to stop until you achieve it.
Use destiny for both of those.
Did I?
Yeah.
You meant fate for the first one, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah.
But I guess that's my point, is like destiny and fate are synonymous.
They are synonymous to us. I think if you ask the people who wrote the translation, the Funimation people, I think they might say that they're slightly different. I'm just going to agree with Catherine, and I think that you are too, that the manga version is just less nebulous.
Yeah.
And then, so the anime version and the manga version both mention dreams. The manga says inherited strength of will and ebb and flow of the ages. And I'm curious if you guys have any opinions on which of those is kind of more destiny and which one is more fate in terms of what they were trying to say in the anime. I like inherited strength of will because I think what it's alluding to there is like, Gold Roger got up on the podium and he said, the One Piece does exist, and he set out this great pirate era. So all of these people have taken his will toward freedom, and they're enacting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're inspiring other people. I would love to discuss that more in depth, but for now I'm going to say any opinions I have would probably be informed by future
That's fair.
monologue.
I would say they probably, in translating that, they put destiny for the inherited strength of will, and fate as the ebbing flow of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, and in a sense that like trying to think of destiny as a more personal level and fate as being like a more worldwide level.
Right. Well,
but I still feel like that's a poor translation. I feel like that makes more sense. This is you're trying to give a new definition to a word that already has a definition.
yes, absolutely. Well, and this idea of fate, you said before that it bothers you because it takes away a lot of agency from the characters, which I think is totally fair. And that point in the manga about the ebb and flow of the ages also kind of takes away a little bit of agency from the character, but it's different because it's more like time is going to move forward regardless of what you're doing. And it's a little bit more hopeful in a way. I don't know. I'm kind of just talking now.
I think the manga one's like, you matter and the times you live in matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, whereas this one's just kind of like, well, none of it really matters. It's just whatever happens, happens. That's like the anime version, right?
Fair enough. Thank you guys for humoring me on my tangent. I was really excited to talk about this. I found it in the color walk when I was like organizing our manga the other day or something, and I went, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing! This has to be brought up in the podcast."
No,
Yeah,
good tangent.
I don't remember when we start to get a little bit more of a hint of lineage and bloodlines and stuff. Spoiler alert, really small ones. You know how I am with these. I don't think that I've spoiled anything major with them before, but the ebb and flow of the ages that was mentioned in the manga is very important, and Luffy is only the way that he is because of how the previous era with Roger turned out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the reasons why we see so many young children in the movies and the specials being influenced by Luffy is because Luffy's now almost 20, he's 17, and these are kids, and so it's essentially his ideals are influencing the younger generation. Mm-hmm. So you take the collection of all the people who are doing stuff right now, and you pass that on to other children, and is the Marine Force stronger? Is the Pirate Force stronger? That affects how they're going to see the world.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you to get into some of these kind of grander ideas as we move through the series.
But they're subtle, is the problem. I don't think you ever get, like, an episode where they say something, and then we go, now's the time when we can discuss this. It's always, like, little pieces that lead the way.
They are subtle, but I will certainly bring it up. What do you have up next?
I'm sorry, Kurt, were you going to say something?
Yeah. 1 second. From the Peanut Gallery, do you have any opinion on this? Thank you, Peanut Gallery.
Curtis just wanted to harass our cat, I guess.
So for those listening at home, normally I edit out stuff with the pets, but we do have a couple, and we have one cat in particular where anytime that she is laying there, if you touch her stomach, her tum, she will meow. And one of our favorite games to play is pretending like we're having a conversation. What do you think of the current political economic situation? Yeah, see, she doesn't really like it a whole lot. But anyways, let me just pull up my list of questions that we normally ask. I don't have a lot of questions that came to mind upon watching these episodes. They were bad. I would rather give Gaimon his own 5-episode spinoff and watch that than these 8 episodes, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm very happy we're done with them. When you told me last time, like, you're like, oh yeah, we've got like another 4 episodes of this. I was like, oh god.
Oh no.
Well, and I thought, in my memory, for some reason, I thought it was a 12-episode arc, and I was like, this is gonna suck.
I feel like we need to isolate that, what you just said for the soundboard. Suck!
Okay. Do you feel like anyone was particularly MVP-ish in these episodes? Do you think anyone was a standout star?
Grandpa Ryu.
Okay. You don't have to pick anyone. You can say... I will...
Okay. I don't have to pick anyone. No one. They're all crap.
they really are. Like, the fight scene with Eric was pretty bland. Both Zoro and Luffy was mostly just, I'm gonna push through the pain sort of a thing. And, I mean, we've seen that before, but done even better. And, like, the music cues weren't great, and there wasn't any kind of smart strategy.
I will say, I feel like even though this was filler, it really highlighted one of Luffy's strengths, which is he believes in people's dreams and he encourages them to pursue them. he had a couple of speeches, one that he gave to Grandpa Ryu, one that he gave to Apis, and they were just peak Luffy. So if I had to pick an MVP for this arc, I would definitely say it was him.
If I had to pick someone, I would pick Luffy. I would say that, again, it's been done better in other places. So, okay. All right. We are officially, well, it depends on how you look at it, but I'm basically considering us to be done with the East Blue Saga. The entire saga. That's not an arc, that's an entire collection. When we upload to iTunes or Spotify and all that other stuff, we're now going to get a new episode title, Alabasta Saga, instead of East Blue
Season 2
Saga.
of King of the What Now?
Woo! Do you think this was the proper send-off for the East Blue? This dragon that barely emotes at all until he lazily flies into the sky?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy we're moving on. So, I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, thank God we're done with the East Blue. Hooray, we're on the next one. But on the other hand, it's like, I'm not like super pumped.
You're not super pumped? Okay.
Curtis, sorry, I'm directing this question mostly at you. Now that we're moving away from the East Blue, which we kind of know is where all the weak pirates are, what are you expecting to see in the Grand Line?
Everybody is going to have at least a 6-pack.
Okay.
Maybe an 8-pack.
Yeah. A beer, just to be clear. I'm not talking about their bodies.
Do you have any serious expectations, though?
I don't know. I'm curious to see what it's going to be like, because the East Blue had villains and some strong ones, but it also had just like a lot of normal villages, right? I'm expecting the Grand Line. I'm not expecting to see too many normal villages, because the people who live there live under constant threat of danger.
There's going to be some weird stuff. Maybe, do you think an island, like the entire island, could eat a devil fruit? That would be cool, right?
Is that how so you remember the Pixar short where it had
the mountain and the volcano?
Yeah, and they're singing to each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that happened.
That must be devil fruits. Excellent. I think that would be really cool. I don't know what devil fruit you could give an island that would be useful. I mean, like, an island that had eaten the rubber fruit would be funny, because then people could bounce on it and stuff.
The smooth fruit, you try to get off your ship and you're just, whee! And you slide across the other side. I can't stop!
But I think it would have to be an island with a volcano. Because that's the only way you could eat anything. You throw it into the volcano.
You sacrifice the devil fruit.
That's so cool. Oh, man. That reminds me of something else important that was mentioned at the end of this last episode we watched. Nami said that the Red Line was a winter island. What do you think that means? And do you think we'll see more of them?
Did she say that?
She did say that. That's why the water is cold.
Oh, I know she said there was like a cold mountain, but...
Nope, she explicitly called it a winter island. I got really excited.
I think we've run into a situation where Catherine and I recognize a term that will come up later, and so we're like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And you're just kind of like, she said words with her mouth. What do you want?
Was it Winter Island in the subtitles? Mm-hmm. Okay, the dub definitely said Cold Mountain.
Oh, my bad. You don't have to answer the question. I'm just curious if you think that there will be other winter islands.
I wouldn't have noticed it unless you pointed it out. Because at this point, it's not a pattern yet. It's a one-off, right? So
yeah, and I'm scratching my head and trying to remember. I don't know if they ever bring it up explicitly. I don't think there's ever a point where, oh no, we can't beat this guy because he rules a winter island. It is something that's part of the world and it's interesting to explore, but just keep it in the back of your mind. There is something called a winter island, and maybe you can try and guess what else there might be out in the world. But
are the Grand Line Islands like the planets in Star Wars, where this is a desert planet, this is an ice planet, this is a forest planet, this is a swamp planet?
I mean, most anime do that. If you go to if you have what am I trying to say? A group of people who are going from one place to another, it's almost always every single place they go has one defining feature. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I feel comfortable letting you know that that's basically what's going to happen. You're going to be able to go, oh yeah, the island with the carnivorous coconuts. Yep, that's only ever happened at one island, and I specifically remember what happens there. Okay. Something that you will get in the Grand Line that you have not seen yet, I would say, are more nefarious villains. I want to say bigger and stronger villains, but I don't mean literally bigger. I mean villains that have more influence, villains that have more sinister plans. It's not, I'm going to steal some money because I like to buy vanilla lattes. It's more insidious, more deeper stuff, and it's going to be interesting as we start to explore the world politics, for example, which don't really exist in the East Blue, but do exist in the Grand Line.
I'm sorry, my brain is hung up on the idea of, like, vanilla latte addicts, like, on the street, begging for money.
Oh, gosh.
I need a fix. I need the caffeine, man. I need the latte.
I was talking about Kuro, to be clear. He's a villain who steals money because he likes the fancy things. He likes to treat himself, if you know what I mean.
Imagine if Luffy drank coffee.
No, I think that the other crew members would keep it from him. Sanji would go, Zoro, he's doing it again! And Zoro would go, shling, and cut it from across the room.
Perfect.
I think Luffy and coffee would be like the coffee episode of Futurama.
When he got the 300 cups of coffee, yeah.
If you had to pick a specific coffee drink for each of the Straw Hat crew. No, I don't.
No.
There are multiple kinds of coffee? That's
Yeah.
incredible. You're blowing my mind here. Okay, here's an interesting question. How many buggies could Eric take in a fight?
Oh my god, 0.
Okay,
I'm not
I
giving
agree.
Eric...
Half a
Eric,
buggy.
Yeah.
1 millibuggy? Or
Yeah.
no, sorry, we were talking about decabuggies. That's what we decided was the appropriate measurement. But here's the thing: he's only able to do one attack. He licks his fingers in a weird way, and then he sends out these weird blades. Those are cutting attacks. So I don't think he can take a single buggy, no matter how big or small
you're
that buggy
right.
is.
Hot dang.
No, it's 0. I don't like Eric.
No,
I'm happy he's dead.
I think that the last scene we saw him in really sums up my opinion of him, where he was like, "You're pirates. Don't you want to live forever? Aren't you afraid of death?" And Luffy was like, "No, man, because I'm not super lame." And that's Eric. He's super lame.
I will say that is one thing that these episodes did right. I know that you commented on off mic, you saw one scene from the previous 4 episodes, and you said Luffy's being peak Luffy, Zoro's being peak Zoro, in terms of characters of themselves. But I would say that Luffy being disinterested in immortality fits him perfectly, because that would be boring.
Yeah.
I'm still running on the theory that because he ate the rubber fruit, not only is he flexible, but his lifespan is flexible.
Oh.
He can stretch it out.
That is
Funny
perfect.
joke.
But then it bounces back, which is confusing.
Yeah, I don't know how that would really
I've
work.
lived to 1,000 years, but now I'm bouncing back to 500.
Do you think that people who insult Luffy always get, kind of beat up or hurt or whatever because their insults bounce off of him and they come back to
I'm rubber, you're glue. Are they going to meet a stick man?
the glue fruit? Okay. Does anyone have anything else interesting to add about these dragons? Because my goodness.
No.
Yeah, there's nothing coming to mind. We've talked about the Grand Line now. Oh, something else that is kind of interesting. I think I knew this at one point, but I was reminded of it recently in some video or comment or online thread. Oda originally wanted One Piece to only go for 5 years or so. That was his plan. I think he missed the mark a little bit on that.
A little, just
I mean,
small amount.
considering it's the 21st anniversary a couple of months ago, no big deal. But do you remember when Luffy said that he wanted to get a crew and someone said, well, how many are you thinking? And he goes, I think 10 would be great before we go to the Grand Line. And then all of a sudden he got his 5th member and he was like, time to go to the Grand Line. And you're like, Luffy, what? Oda really did initially intend for Luffy to meet 10 other people. That's kind of the number he had in his head before he decided that it would be more interesting to explore the Grand Line. So that's kind of cool.
Oh.
Here's another fun fact about Oda and his intentions for this series. He has been writing it since he was 10 years old, and originally he just called it pirate manga.
Oh.
People would go, Little Oda, what are you working on? And he would go, pirate manga. I really recommend reading The Color Walk. Not now, later, because there's spoilers in it. But he talks about, his opinions on writing and being a mangaka, and it's really interesting. He was like, I can get paid to draw. I learned that in kindergarten. It went, yes, that's what I'm doing. Final thoughts. filler is boring. I'm really excited to get to less boring stuff. I think that the pacing of the series is just going to pick up from here on out. And I think there's some cool powers coming. I think there's some cool character interactions coming. And I just can't wait.
Okay.
Grand Line!
Grand Line! We've made it to the Grand Line! I will say that we forgot to talk about our sponsor this week, so we should probably figure that out. Probably add that in post-edit.
I'm sure there's a spot in there. Otherwise, we'll just put it at the end.
Yeah, I think
that's okay.
Just sitting here. What?
What are you doing?
What do you mean? What? The episode's
going up tomorrow. We have to record an ad.
Oh no, we didn't do that during the episode recording, did we?
No, we didn't.
Okay. So how about singing bees?
Singing bees. Yes, perfect. Do they hum?
They can hum. Yes. Okay. So we got singing bees, we've got humming bees, and we've got screeching bees for the hardcore.
Bees.
Yeah. We're not going to do another audio joke on here because we did that with Scream Team already. But yeah, bees. Go to your local bee mart. Yes, not your A mart, not your C mart, your B mart.
Good.
Okay. Good. Have a good day. Bees. All right, before we go, we're going to play one real quick game to try and spice this up. I recognize that this episode probably wasn't very interesting to listen to. I apologize. I'll try to find ways to make even the boring episodes kind of more interesting. So what we're going to do, now that we've officially gotten out of the Grand Line, and it would be impossible for Luffy to get any more crew members from the East Blue, unless he travels back at some point in the future. But
or if the East Blue crew members travel to the Grand Line from the East Blue, and then he gets them.
Oh. Okay, fine. Technicalities aside, I think you all know what I mean. Let's do it. At this moment in time, what is everyone's official ranking of the East Blue members?
Oh, like 1 being the best, 5 being the worst?
Mm-hmm. More importantly, can we come to a consensus?
Oh.
Okay, wait. Let's all come up with our own.
Okay.
And settle on it before you say anything.
Number 1 is Django. Number 2 is Kuro. Number 3, Axehand Morgan.
I've got mine.
Okay, I got one, but it's not hard. Not
You can be persuaded.
Some of the people are kind of they're kind of close to each other. So my top 3 are all very close.
I've got a quick question. Do we want to each give our whole rankings and then try to come to a consensus, or do we want to go character by character and be like, this is the number 1 spot and talk about it?
No, I'd say each give our rankings.
Give our total rankings at first. All right.
Joel, do you want to start us off?
Wow, I actually get to go first. I'm used to just kind of letting Curtis answer my open-ended questions. See him struggle, which makes me laugh a little bit sometimes. But no, so I would have to say Zoro, Luffy, Sanji, Usopp, Nami.
Babe, I love you. This is not an exaggeration. Those were my exact rankings.
Okay, perfect. Curtis.
Wow. We're very different.
Really?
Those were 1 through 5, 1 being the best, right?
Yeah.
Okay, mine was Nami, Zoro, Sanji, Luffy, Usopp.
Interesting.
We all ranked Sanji as number 3.
Okay, interesting.
I guess in my opinion, Nami, Zoro, and Sanji are the 3 more competent crew members.
Oh, so you're ranking them by their ability to not drown at sea or something?
Kind of, yeah. Luffy is great in small doses, and I don't enjoy him too much. Usopp's on the bottom.
For me, I kind of had Usopp and Nami tied because Nami is a really competent crew member and she has her moments, but her weakness and Usopp's weakness frustrates me. Luffy is just such a good boy. And every time he talks, especially if he's talking about dreams or friendship or any of the things that Luffy is really passionate about, I just feel inspired to go out and chase my dreams. And so he ranks really high. Not as high as Zoro because Zoro has a sword.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
See,
I'm surprised you put Zoro ahead of Sanji.
I was thinking about this. I'm trying to think of the scenes where I like and I say, this is a great Sanji moment. And I think right now he's still more or less a caricature of puppy love.
Yeah.
Everything he does is, I do this for Nami, and I get that level of devotion, but also since it's not a romantic relationship, it's more kind of for jokes, I can't take him seriously. So he hasn't had his moment to shine. I think if we revisit this question at the end of the Alabasta saga, maybe his standing will change.
Okay.
I will also say that Zoro wins above Luffy. I like Luffy, but Luffy also hasn't had his best moments. He's had good, strong moments, but not so strong as to blow me out of the water. Arlong Park is great, but Zoro had a great moment at Arlong Park too. Zoro had a great moment at... His dedication is 100% legitimate. He's already on the professional pirate level, whereas the others, I feel, still have a little bit of growing to do.
That's true. Zoro has been professionally running around fighting people for years now,
Yeah.
whereas the rest of them are only just starting out on their journeys. I wish that we had more Zoro backstory, because I want to know exactly how long he was a bounty hunter before he became a pirate.
And what kind of wacky adventures he went on during that time.
I mean, it couldn't have been too long. He's only 19.
Spoilers, we still don't know.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about Zoro... Man, I really need to get good at only focusing on stuff that we've already seen. Zoro cares about the rules and the respect and the authority of pirates more than the other members of the crew, which is really interesting. And, say Usopp becomes the team tactician. He gets much better at telling other team members what they can do to better defeat the bad guy. As a hypothetical, he hasn't grown into that role yet. Zoro is already matured. He's already in the butterfly stage, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's why he ranks a little high. Usopp ranks higher than Nami because he's had more character development that I identify with over Nami. Nami learned to trust Luffy, but everyone learns to trust Luffy, so it's not special or impactful. Usopp has this whole, I don't want to die, I don't want to fight, I'm scared out of my mind, but I'm gonna do it anyways because these people need me.
That scene at Arlong Park, where he's thinking of his excuses and he imagines his friends fighting, is
and they get weaker each and every time.
Oh god, best Usopp moment of the series so far. Not to go off on a tangent.
Plus, Nami has never once told someone, hey, wine is flammable, and then lit them on fire in a complex 7-step strategy.
True.
That's true. I forgot about that scene. I guess in my mind I was ranking Nami ahead of Usopp because I feel like on a whole she's been more useful to the crew than Usopp has been.
That is true. Usopp, it also, I don't remember who I was talking about, but I said something about Sanji. Some of Sanji's actions feel a little bit like comedy, which makes it harder to take it serious, and Usopp, I would say, is the butt or the instigator of many jokes, where he's the one who doesn't want to fight, or he's the one calling out the other people for being crazy, but just join in the craziness. You're not going to stop Luffy and Zoro from being idiots, so just be an idiot. Embrace that part of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've been told that I like to have the final word in things, so I will let you two sign us off.
I mean, what do we... Well, thanks, guys, for listening to our podcast today.
Hang on. I gotta have the last word on this one.
Oh my god, Joel!
Hang on. No, listen.
I thought you were serious!
I was serious, and then I had a thought. The problem I have with this podcast is that I will think of something on, say, a Wednesday, and I'll go, oh, next time we record, I should bring this up. And then we record on a Saturday, and we finish the episode, and I go, oh, I had that thought 4 days ago, and I only just now remembered after we had done recorded and you've gone home and we don't have the recording equipment out and that sort of thing. I finally remembered while we were recording. This voice, this co-host that none of you can see who I'm gesturing at, but it is my wife, Catherine and Kat. She's both. One's a nickname. But anyways, she is the artist who designed the Jolly Roger for this podcast. The 2 skulls and the crown with a question mark on it. And I am very deeply touched by this logo, and I forgot to officially thank her / you on the podcast. because I already thanked you in person, but I just wanted people who listen to the podcast to know that you do some beautiful art and you go to comic and anime and manga conventions trying to show off your wares. And I hope to one day be able to what's the word? Market King of the What Now using my own drawings that I maybe could learn how to do from you and such. But I've never on air thanked you for the logo.
Kat, where can listeners find more of your artwork?
Oh my goodness. Listeners can find more of my artwork at facebook.com/pastelnerdery or on Tumblr at inkyartcat.tumblr.com. I haven't updated that one in a long time, so Facebook is probably your best bet. Joel, tweet it after the episode.
Yeah, I will definitely try to remember to do that. And you know what? This time I'm actually going to do it, Lots of times I'm like, yeah, I'll do that eventually, and then I put it off. And, this time I'll...
I want listeners to know I did not plan to market myself. This is you two colluding.
That's fine.
People don't have to check out my art if they don't want to, but it's cool if you do want to.
Spontaneous collusion.
I really like the word collusion.
Thank you. Spontaneous collusion is a wonderful... I could also being the name of a drink, though I don't know if I would want to ingest something known as spontaneous collusion.
Spontaneous collusion is not a constant band. It's when people get together randomly, put out some music, and then disperse. And it's never the same people. It's never in the same spot.
And they can't plan to do it either. They can't be like, we're going to record this. It has to be...
Oh, God, that's perfect. My joke was going to be, Joel, could spontaneous collusion be the name of our memoir about our marriage?
Okay, interesting. That makes it sound like we didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. We Darman Gregged it.
They were walking, just walking down the street, and they happened to bump into each other at the same time as a minister. And they were like, hey, I guess we're getting married.
We were going to save that very sentimental story of how we met for the 50th episode of the podcast. Now you ruined it. Now everyone will know the story of how we met.
If you are curious how anime nerds find each other, we worked at the same place and I made fun of his favorite superhero.
Which is the Flash, which is the best superhero. At the time, I didn't know that Lord Explosion Murder was a superhero, and I think that was so long ago that he didn't even exist as a fictional character, but Lord Explosion Murder is the best superhero of all time. All right. Now that I've gotten that out of my system and I've finally been able to acknowledge the beautiful logo on this podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now I will let you two have the final words.
Words. I really thought you were going to join in, Curtis. Now I feel weird.
Sorry.
It's okay. Do you want to say goodbye to your listeners?
I was going to say goodbye, but now we're just like mumbling and...
I have... here in my hands, the final words. I'm going to hand them to you, and I want you to say them.
Thank you for listening to our podcast today. Official outro goes here.
Oh, they all have Pope hats.
So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.